Hey guys, it's Dustin Sanchez. I'm here with my co-host Sean Nelson, and this is the TriGun podcast. We're going to talk about some major announcements. We have some sponsorship companies that we're going to talk about, and we're going to be talking to special guest Nathan Payne. So Sean, what do you got for us on sponsorship?
Yeah, so this week, let's run through the list here. We've got our title sponsors. Thank you, Nordic Components and Vortex Optics. In at the platinum level, we have Hyperfire, JP Rifles, Luth-AR, Thunder Beast Arms. They've all been with the match for quite some time now. We're happy to have them back this year. At the gold level, Federal Premium has jumped on. We've got 9-line apparel. Coming in silver, we've got Gunfighter Targets, Hodgdon Powders, Hunter's HD Gold, King of the Mountain, Obsidian Arms, Rise Armament, Savage, XS Sight Systems. And in the bronze level, we've got Range Tactical Gear coming back. And then contributing sponsors, Redding Reloading and Starline Brass.
Those are all great companies.
Yeah, they are.
Awesome. All right, major announcements. May 9th will be the last day to withdraw from the match and get a full refund. I believe there is, at a later date, you can still withdraw and get a partial refund.
Yeah, the deal with that is as we get closer to the match, you'll get a full refund if they can fill your spot with somebody from the wait list. But as we get closer, it's going to be more difficult to get somebody on that wait list to make arrangements. So if you got to make the change, do it soon.
Awesome. And then Thursday, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Central Time, will be self-squatting. I know here in Minnesota, even with our guest, Nathan Payne, there's been a couple of times where some of us could not make it to the clock at that time. Mm-hmm. So we had a couple of people squatting us. So
right, yeah, you can send that personal link to somebody you plan on squatting with, and they can take care of all the match management for you.
So those are some of the key dates right there. May 9th for withdrawal, and May 23rd will be the day you can start squatting up. So, we are 44 days out from the match right now. It's getting close. We have Nathan's actually on the line, kind of on hold while we go through all this, and we were talking to him about the days, and he kind of was like, "Oh, that makes it a little bit more realistic there." So without further ado, let's bring on Nathan Payne. How's it going, Nathan?
Hey guys, good. How are y'all doing?
Not too bad.
Good,
Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So 44 days out. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, when you brought that up, trepidation is the word that comes to mind. I just shot a local USPSA match last night, which makes my second actual shooting competition of 2019. So I better get some work in before TriGun.
Where did you shoot that match at?
Scapsa.
Okay. Yeah, that's not too far of a drive for you.
Nope, not bad.
Yeah. How'd you do?
We got a lot of. I won overall. But it was a good experience. Shot on a great squad, and I don't shoot a lot of USPSA, so it's it's always a learning experience for me. Just with the how you have to math with hit factor and stuff, and I don't math, so I'm a it's either neutralized or it's not kind of guy. But it was a good time, good experience, and we actually had good weather, unlike right now. So.
Yeah, now where we're at right now, we're at Sean's house. We're just getting some rain here.
Yeah, a few inches came in today, and then we're moving into snow tomorrow, I guess. But hey, it's only May. It's still winter here in Minnesota.
Yep.
But Nathan, you were saying it's snowing at your house?
Yeah, it's been snowing for a couple hours now. Nothing's accumulated yet, but you know how it is here. You wake up in the morning and it's going to be just covered in snow.
Right. And like like we were saying, we're 44 days out and we still have snow coming down. If it's snowing and raining here, it's probably getting one of the two at the range. Mm-hmm. So.
Right. Well, and I kind of have I don't know how to feel about that at this point. I kind of hope it's snow. We have snow on the ground for the TriGun because I feel like that'd be a bit of a home field advantage.
Yeah, your schedule's different this year. When I've been talking to people about your schedule, they're not used to it. I think right now you have one major under your belt and you have a USPSA local match. I mean, that is it.
I'm not putting as many rounds downrange as my counterparts that are both have weekends off and maybe live in a little bit warmer climate. So,
yeah.
But I'm in it for fun, and when the time comes, I'll try to put my best foot forward.
Right. I mean, yeah, you look at some of your competition, which for the TriGun, what I have right now without really going through the list. So if I'm not going to try to go through the list of everybody in your division, but I know we have Joe Easter coming down or flying up here to shoot that match, and he'll be shooting limited. He's in Florida,
yep.
So he has beautiful weather pretty much year round, in our opinion. And then you have Riley Croft, who is in Texas, and he pretty much has pretty weather, down in Texas. So, yeah, they're shooting all the time.
They've been looking pretty muddy down there lately, though.
It has been muddy.
They had to deal with that.
Right. So.
Yeah. Well, everybody's got some adversity, right?
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think I was on the phone with somebody earlier today. They're in Missouri. They said it's been raining for 2 weeks. So I think I think I'll take whatever we have going on right now over raining for 2 weeks straight.
Yeah, and that Missouri mud is definitely unforgiving.
Stays with you for a while.
A couple of years ago, I came back from Gen 3 gun, and after I hosed my truck off in the driveway, I took 2 scoop shovelfuls of Missouri mud off of my driveway. And that was after the drive back.
That's awesome. All right, man. Well, let's get into the TriGun, and I want to try to get into more kind of. You have a little bit longer history with the TriGun, and there's very few people that are in the sport these days that were around when the TriGun was actually just an all shotgun match, and it was still at Deltone. Is that correct?
Yep.
And so that was right after they got banned. So it was a 3-gun match, got banned from 3-gun, so they went to an all-shotgun match. Is that correct?
Yeah, in a way. So Randy Luth started up the DPMS TriGun Challenge. I don't know what years before I started competing, and that match ended up being one of the majors. The AMU would come up to it. You had the top shooters in the country would show up to shoot the TriGun in St. Cloud, Minnesota at the Deltone Luth range. In fact, I believe that's where my brother Tyler was offered a spot in the Army Marksmanship Unit back before he got in, right? But then some controversy came down, some litigation, and my understanding is that they weren't allowed to shoot single projectiles in open air. They had to use like the cement tunnels or whatever. So basically, you can't do action rifle or action pistol. And so the Minnesota 3-gun group sort of took up the mantle and started the Tactical Shotgun Championship, which Nordic Components was the title sponsor of, and they're still hanging on today. So, kudos to them and a big shout out and a big thank you. They're still a fixture in this sport this many years down the road.
Yeah, they've been here for a while. Yeah. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yep. And so I started shooting my first Nordic Tactical Shotgun Championship was in 2013, and it was the last time that it was held at the Deltone Luth range in St. Cloud. And then in 2014, the Minnesota 3-gun group brought it over to the Forest Lake Sportsman's Club in Forest Lake, Minnesota, which is where it's been ever since. And then in 2016, they scrapped the Tactical Shotgun Championship in order to bring back or reinvent the TriGun.
Right.
Which is what we have today. So.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, even when it was Deltone or at Deltone or just, let's say, the Nordic Components Shotgun Championship, that match was still filling up in a matter of seconds. I mean, maybe a minute or two, or they were still, I think it was before practice score, but they would have everything meld into them right away. Like people didn't wait to get their applications in for that match. That stuff was sent in right away.
Right. And it drew a lot of top level talent from around the country. And a lot of those shooters told me that it was their favorite match of the year. Right. No, not just their favorite shotgun match, their favorite match, right? They really look forward to the Tactical Shotgun Championship. And I think it really lends itself to the creativity of the Minnesota TriGun group. You guys have shot the Nordic Tac Shotgun Championship as well.
Mm-hmm.
You're familiar with how creative those stages can get, right? And the challenges that they presented and the way they ran the match, it seemed to be top notch from top to bottom. And they brought that over to the 3-gun side now with the TriGun, and it's been a lot of fun. You know, I've enjoyed the challenges that the Minnesota 3-gun group puts out there in their stage designs.
Yeah, there's a lot of credit that goes to, you know, the Minnesota 3-gun group. And, you know, your dad was part of the group. He's more into, you know, shooting long range, more PRS type matches now. But those guys used to travel all over the nation, and they would shoot matches, you know, everywhere. And they would bring back stage designs and target size, you know, like we were not shooting 5x5 stills for a while. And then all of a sudden, you know, a new season starts up and we have these little 5x5, you know, square steel targets that we started shooting on because they were seeing them at other major matches. So they've been huge in making sure the Minnesota shooting community stays up to date with everything that's going on in the country.
Yeah. And it's more than even just that. I mean, it's still today. You guys remember one of the stages last year, we had an aerial clay with the rifle, right?
Right.
Well, I believe that would have been 2018 and 2017 at Fort Benning, where some of the Minnesota 3-gun group was down shooting that match. We had an aerial clay with the pistol.
Right. I remember seeing video of you and Jake shooting that for practice.
Yeah. So I think that the aerial clay with the pistol had been done. So we're looking for a way to do an aerial clay with the rifle, and they found a way to do it. It was creative. It was fun. It was one of those targets that a lot of shooters were talking about both at the match and then after the match. I know I saw a lot of videos out there on social media of guys shooting and hitting and shooting and missing at the aerial clay with their rifle.
Right.
And that's the kind of stuff that they, like you mentioned, they've been doing since they started. The Minnesota 3-gun group's been traveling around the country shooting matches and basically not stealing ideas, but definitely taking a lot of the best practices that they've seen at other matches, as well as, like you had mentioned, targets and presentations and props and just kind of taking all those things, putting them into their own creative mind and spitting out these stages that are challenging and a ton of fun.
Yeah, I have to say the TriGun has always been one of those matches that has pushed a shooter physically and mentally. Mm-hmm. And you know, it's at the Forest Lake Sportsman's Club, they can't really stretch it out like you can, let's say, at the Shooter Source match this past weekend.
Right.
Those guys, you know, they can have a guy run 200 yards, and you're just not capable of doing that at the TriGun. And yet somehow they still find a way to push you hard enough. When you go to take that last rifle shot, you're like, holy cow, I'm out of shape for this. Well, you're not. Sean and I have those thoughts.
Out of shape, and on the other side, you're not prepared for it either. I mean, we've seen some presentations on stages look like, hey, this is going to be no big deal, and seen some top shooters struggle with that.
Right.
I'm thinking, was it stage 2 last year with the trough?
Yeah, that trough was more of a mental game to some people.
It was a mental game. Yeah, it messed a lot of people up because they're worried about splash. Mm-hmm. So now instead of getting their hits, they're worried about, I don't want to get wet, or I can't get my optic wet. And it was pretty neat to see.
Yeah, and that's, well, you brought up a good point there, Sean, and that's basically what it comes down to. Like you had mentioned, Dustin, that the range itself has its limitations, but the Minnesota 3-gun group's been around long enough and seen enough other matches. They have their collective experience is impressive, and they take that and they've figured out ways to challenge you physically and mentally within the confines of the Forest Lake Sportsman's Club. Right.
Right. Exactly.
And that's what's impressive to me anyway. And it's, like I said, I've probably said it a million times already, but it is fun.
Right. So was it 2017? You had us in, they had us in was that Bay 1? you had a run down range shooting targets, and then you ended up shooting reverse kneeling at 200 yards or something like that. Not reverse kneeling, reverse rooftop.
Reverse rooftop.
It was reverse rooftop.
Dude, that
I'd have killed for a reverse kneeling.
Yeah, that's right. That ate people's lunch on that reverse rooftop.
Man. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then just last year on that same one, the all rifle stage, that may have been the most well thought out, well executed shoot house / all rifle stage I've ever seen. That was, I mean, I shot it terribly. That was awful the way that I performed on that stage, but that stage itself was epic.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome.
Great stage.
I may have walked past a couple targets there.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun though.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I mean, we've talked about, how they've pushed people, and, in long range shots, there are really, compared to some matches, there are no long range shots. Well, I mean, the farthest shot you're going to have is going to be 380, maybe 390. If they really stretch it,
really pushing it, you're gonna see 350 to 380.
Yeah, but they've always managed to make those difficult shots and push people. And it's not really that it's difficult. You just sometimes I feel like the shooter goes in there and they overthink this. That it's 380 yards. The last match I was at had 500-yard targets. I'm gonna smoke this down and move on. And it just doesn't seem that way. And they've carried that on, whether it's with shotgun, pistol. They always seem to be right there where they're pushing us. And I feel like that's a reason why this match is a go-to match, right? Like, you have people already posting on social media right now that they're excited to be at the TriGun. And like I said, we're 44 days away. They're not talking about any other major matches. They're talking about the TriGun, which is in, the last part of June. I feel like that's pretty impressive.
Oh, definitely. And like you said, it has a lot to do with, I would say in most part, to do with what the Minnesota TriGun group has done in cultivating this match. And in my opinion, it's gotten better every year. So, 2017 outdid 2016 and 2018 outdid 2017. So I'm really excited to see what this year is going to bring.
Yeah, I agree with you. Before we got started actually in the podcast here, we were talking about format, and I instantly started thinking that we're talking about half-day format versus on-off format, but you're talking more about a single stage, like a single gun stage, that type of format, right? And you were bringing up some interesting things. So let's get into that. They still run a stage that'll be all pistol. Then they'll have a stage that's all rifle, stage that's all shotgun. And, once you brought it up, I agree. I completely love that. Where are you at on this?
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. There's a few reasons that I love it. First of all, the origin of the sport comes from that, right? I mean, when TriGun first started up, they weren't doing weapon transitions. They were shooting, an all shotgun stage, maybe 2 or 3 all shotgun stages, 2 or 3 all rifle stages, 2 or 3 all pistol stages, put them together, and that's your match. And now, we've grown into being able to do a lot more with our matches. But I like to see the single gun stages for a couple of reasons. One, the creativity of the match directors or the stage designers really comes out, right? Because let's face it, if all you've got is one bay and a rifle, it's pretty difficult to come up with a stage that is going to be an experience for the shooters, right? And yet that shoot house that the Minnesota TriGun group put together last year on stage 1 with the all rifle stage, mixing in long range from multiple positions in between by short, I mean point blank, muzzle shots through ports and stuff, and running through this and then going underneath the barricades and all that. That was one of those stages that was an experience, and yet it was a single gun stage.
Yeah.
And they're well known for putting together great shotgun matches, and their all shotgun stage last year was excellent. The props with the shooting out of the van with the slugs, and then coming out and shooting the different target presentations, going through the woods. So I like that it tests the creativity of the stage designers. And I also like that it tests the abilities of the shooters and their equipment. I mean, you get to, 2017, was it 47 round shotgun stage?
Mm-hmm.
It was up there.
It was something like that, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, you're going to find out if your shotgun can really run, right?
Yeah.
Just how warm she's going to get.
Right, exactly. And you need to be, with 47 rounds of required shooting, there's not a lot of space on the average human being to carry enough ammo to miss every target once, right? So you don't have the option to have a ton of makeup shots and stuff like that. And so it tests the discipline of the shooter as well. But I really enjoy the single gun stages, and I've really enjoyed the way that the Minnesota TriGun Group has put them together. So I think it's going to be a great test. I'm excited to see what they do this year.
When you talk about creativity of the stage design, and a lot of people will be like, oh, they're going to make a stage extremely hard. Minnesota TriGun Group with the TriGun, I don't feel like they make any stage that is hard as far as like impossible shots. You'll see a junior shooter go out there and he'll just smoke a stage down. I feel like they make it where the stage is very challenging as far as you have to understand your gear, and you have to understand, let's say on the shotgun stage, you had to know what your choke tubes would do. Because there were some shots out there that you're like, hey, I can take that shot from here. It's 21 yards. But I could take it up there and I'll be at 10 yards, but where's my round count going to be at? Where does it work the best for me? And I felt like even in the rifle stage, they had you go prone on a rooftop and shoot in the middle of the shoot house, right? Like you had I think you had to kick a door in, and there was a target there, and then you went prone in the middle of a shoot house, and then you jump back up and run out of that room. You don't see that really at any other matches, and I keep kind of going back to I think that's why this match sells out in a minute 15 seconds on practice score. It's that match that people know that they can come here, they can have a great time, and still be challenged, mentally and physically, as long even if they know their gear, they still can be challenged and have a good time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess that's your next major. I know your days kind of change. You don't have weekends off right now, so you're shooting a lot. I guess you're doing a lot of dry fire and practice during the weeks, or how's that working out for you?
Yeah, that's basically how it's going. It's mostly dry fire.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as we get closer here, I'm going to ramp up a little bit. Hopefully, if the snow stays away and I get some time to get out there, kids, family, job, all that stuff takes up, as you guys well know, it takes up a lot of time and stuff. And I don't say it I shouldn't say it like that.
No, we get it.
Totally. Yeah.
It's not, they're not in the way.
No, they're not in the way. It's time.
It's just,
time is short for some of us with what we do for work and travel.
Yep.
We don't have a whole lot of time with our family, as some other people would have. So when we're home, we try to get in plenty of family time. Yeah. I think a lot of people who know us, they kind of get that idea that we're doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it may be. Yeah. I mean, it's priorities, right?
Right.
So, got to spend that time with the family too. But, hopefully I can get out there and get some work in, get ready for the match and for the challenges that, the Minnesota TriGun Group puts out there in front of us.
Awesome.
And from what I'm hearing, it's going to be once again, there's going to be a lot of talent at this match. So, should be a lot of fun.
So, before we let you go here, for anybody that maybe this might be their second match or their second time to shoot the TriGun, or let's say their first major or their first time to shoot the TriGun in general, what advice would you give to these shooters?
The advice I'd give them the same advice I'd give them before they shoot any match, and that's just focus on your fundamentals. That's all it is. The guys who are doing it at top level can simply their fundamentals are subconscious. So everything else that they do, basically their fundamentals don't take up any of their brain's bandwidth, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And so they can do everything else faster. Because I mean, honestly, everybody's going to be capable of making the shots. It's everything we do in between those shots that makes the difference, right? And so if you make sure that you can make the shot, and then everything else will come as it comes up, you'll be able to take those challenges on. I definitely would caution people against practicing stages or things like that, because who knows what they're going to put in front of us, right? But at the end of it all, what it comes down to is you're going to have your sights lined up on a target and pressing the trigger. And as long as you are well seated in those fundamentals, you'll be able to take on any of the challenges that they put out in front of you.
All right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I know you've got a couple of companies out there that have that help you out. Do you want to give a shout out to anybody?
Oh, yeah.
Before we let you go?
Yeah, definitely. ORM Tech Ammunition. Brandon's been great. Actually, he and I just squatted together at Scapsa last night. Had a ton of fun. Of course, JP Enterprises. You guys might know somebody who's there.
A couple guys, yeah.
I've been with JP Enterprises from the beginning, or I should say I've never shot any rifle but a JP rifle in a match. It's never happened.
Lucky.
I'm very fortunate. The very first match that I ever shot, John Paul was on our squad and basically held all of our hands and walked us through every single stage. JP has been a fixture in my 3-gun career. So big thanks to them. Vortex Optics is, again, I'm still shooting on my TAC Ops rifle. I still have the first Razor that I bought back 2012, probably. Absolutely have nothing but the best things to say about Vortex Optics to the people that work there, their products and warranties, and you guys know exactly what I'm talking about there.
Yes, sir.
Arms and Arms, great gun store in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. Incredible supporters of the shooting sports, and they carry probably the best selection. Maybe not the widest selection. There's a ton of guns there, but they're the best guns. Like if you want to go and get a used Infinity, you would probably find it at Arms and Arms. Right. Or JP Enterprises are on the shelves. You want a JP, CTR02, you'll probably find one on the shelf at Arms and Arms. Roth Performance, or X-Rail, Mark Roth. Everybody knows who that is. Mr. Shotgun, and he's been such a great friend as well as supporter, and he's just so knowledgeable in all the things that he's given back to the sport. I can't say enough good things about Roth Performance. And then Concealed Defense. You guys have probably heard of Brian Payne. It's his training company, and considering basically anything that I have done well in the shooting sports is directly related to him. You can't leave him out either. Right. And then of course Atlas Target Works make excellent steel targets at probably the most affordable prices and the best value on the market. And of course Action Gunner. I think you guys are aware of what Action Gunner is, right?
Yeah, we got that.
Yeah. And Grundhauser Gunworks. Paul Grundhauser has been a friend of mine for many years. Built my pistol, which I've been running since 2013. That thing has been flawless for me. And can't say enough good things about that gun.
So. That pistol was originally built in a 38 Super Comp, right?
Yeah, yep. And then I had him do a 9mm barrel. And so I've got 2 barrels, 1 pistol, and neither one of them hiccups ever.
Yeah.
So it's a first world problems as to which barrel I should run. So,
well, I guess it's which ammo's cheaper at the moment then, right?
Yeah, sometimes, it, for whatever reason, doesn't seem to matter.
Yeah.
That thing just keeps running. But yeah, like I said, I'm blessed.
That's
Definitely
awesome.
blessed.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks for coming on the podcast, talking about the TriGun. We really appreciate it. It was great catching up with you.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and we look forward to seeing you ready to go with the TriGun. I'd be excited. I haven't been able to see you at a match this year, so I'm always excited to see you run a stage or two, and we'll have some fun with that.
Yeah, sounds good.
Awesome. All right, man. Well, we'll chat with you later.
All right, thanks,
Sounds good.
Nathan.
Take care.
So, Sean, final thoughts. What do you got for us?
Let's cover the guys on the wait list. There's still hope, so keep an ear out for communication from Jomar on that. He's pretty good at keeping everybody up to date on where the wait list is at. Lastly, for all you listeners out there, go ahead and comment below. This will be on our Facebook page. What were some of your favorite props? I want to see that.
Yeah, awesome. Well, once again, thanks to Nathan. Thanks to all of our sponsors out there for supporting the TriGun. Thanks to the Minnesota 3-Gun Group for all the time and effort they put into the match. And yeah, that's about all I got.
Yeah. So we'll keep posting updates here. Stay tuned. Within a week, we should have another episode coming out. So.
Awesome. We'll see you guys later.